You're watching Next Pitch, the student athlete playbook for parents raising tomorrow's athletes.
Hi, Anthony Leveretz, host of the Next Pitch podcast, and I am joined by Hannah Huesman. I'm a little sad. Today is our 18th episode. I think I'm going to try to talk you into doing an Ask Me Anything episode, so to bring you back and take listeners' questions. But this has been an absolute blast, a great journey, talking about how to train our brain and covered all kinds of topics. It has been fascinating for me, and I have absolutely enjoyed having you on the show, so thank you.
I can't believe we're on the last episode. It feels like it hasn't been that long. Like 18 episodes is crazy, but I'm excited.
I'm fun. It's been fun. So
fun.
I just said I'm fun. I'm
you're
not.
You're so fun too.
Yeah, I don't think my kids think I'm fun. My fun meter's way low with the teens. Okay, so
that means you're doing something right, though. You know.
Okay, good.
You don't want to be too fun with the teens. Then we're questioning some things.
Yeah, I need all the self-affirmation I can get as a parent sometimes. All right, so we're going to talk about last one today. We're going to talk about rest.
Yes.
So it's one of the things that I struggled with when I was coaching. It was one of the things my high performers really struggled with when I was coaching them. We're going to dive into that. But let's start with young athletes, little kids, right? Like, and you've identified kind of what you think little kid is 13 and younger. Yeah. How important is rest? And I don't mean just sleeping, but that too. Yeah. Is that to their overall performance as an athlete and continuing to grow?
I don't think there's a single more important thing in any aspect of life than rest. You think about that. You think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Like, what do we need? We need food, water, rest. Yeah. And safety, right? It's if we aren't well rested, nothing else is going to be able to function at an optimal level, especially young kids, right? Like I don't want to disregard older adults because like recovery is still so important. But as a young kid, you're growing, right? You are evolving, you're changing on a daily basis. You're going through so much, you're learning so much about the world, about yourself, and there's just constant intake in everything you do, right? They're not necessarily meditate, right? They don't get time to just knock out except for when they're sleeping. And they're usually like going 100 miles an hour too, right? For the most part. And so it's such an important piece of just overall development. And I have a 14-month-old now, and I've done a lot of research already on like kids and development and all that stuff. And almost all of it comes back to don't mess with sleep. Like, don't mess with it. Like, as annoying as it is for the first couple years of life, where it's like, hey, we got to get back. She's got to go to sleep at 7 p.m., where maybe we would usually have dinner at 7. It's so important for her development. And I can tell, right? Like I can tell when she doesn't sleep good or when she stays up too late. And sometimes life happens. It's definitely not perfect, but we prioritize it in this family already at the age of 14 months, And so I hope we can always prioritize that, but it's so important when it comes to development. So when you're talking about elite performers, 13 and under, you set the precedence of you got to go to sleep. Like we got to enjoy sleep. We love sleep in this house. It's a non-negotiable. We don't hang out on our phones till 10 p.m. We don't play video games till 2 a.m., right? Whatever it is, like set some boundaries so they learn those habits early in life and value that. And that can't be a reason we're not our best, right? There's so many other reasons in life, whether we just don't have the skill sets. Good coaching is hard to find. We're emotionally like kind of out of control, but don't let sleep, like, oh, I'm just so tired today, be the reason we're not performing well, right? It's going to happen on its own. So let it happen just because like maybe it's been a tough week, but don't let it happen because you just chose, again, to stay up late or to watch TV or stay on your phone too late and just didn't optimize your sleep, right? Like, and it's so important. I think that starts from the parents and making it, this is what we do in our house, You have teenagers. How do you prioritize it in your house? Do you?
We
Can
have
you?
we do. I mean,
Yeah.
we have bedtimes.
Yeah.
My son has gotten really good at his own habits now of going to bed on his own. But
Yeah.
we did the same thing. My wife was great at the
Yeah.
sleep thing with the
Yeah.
kids. Two things: one, it helped them be better, and it gave her a break, so that there was, it's like
Win-win.
it's time to sleep. But yeah, we talk about it all the time, and I was terrible at it when I coached. I mean, I would sleep during the season. I would sleep 3-4 hours a night,
Yeah.
and I would start drinking coffee again
Yeah.
at 7 o'clock at night. Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was not a healthy way to live.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, sleep is definitely a priority. Let's talk about rest in a different way. So sleep,
Yeah.
obviously a big part of resting,
Yep.
but taking a break.
Yep.
So maybe not just rest of, I need to sleep good every night. That's a given. We got to do that. But
Totally.
I'm a multi-sport athlete. Is taking I'm focused on one. Let's say I'm a baseball player,
Yeah.
your wheelhouse. I'm a baseball player and but I'm going to take a break from baseball
Yep.
and go play basketball or go do whatever comes next. How important is that for young athletes to just move away from that sport for a little
Yeah.
bit and go
Yeah.
do something else?
I mean, think about it, right? Think about it. When working in pro baseball, the off season would come around the corner, and by the time the end of a baseball season comes around, which is a very long time, guys are like counting down the seconds till they get to go home until it's off season, right? And so I always tell them, hey, I know you're gonna go home. I know you're gonna want to jump right back into this. Like they'll take a few days, right? 3 or 4 days, and then they'll be like kind of itching to get back at it already. But I'm like, give yourself enough time to like really miss it. Like I miss the smell of the dirt, the fresh cut grass, right? All that stuff. Like really miss it. So when it rolls back around, you've got enough energy that'll take you again the long haul of a season, right? And not everybody's season is that long, but still either way, right? It's typically most seasons are long seasons. And so it's like, how do we get away from it, reload our love for it, which sometimes we got to get away from it to love it a little bit more. I mean, you think about relationships, sometimes it's good to like have a little break, right? If you, I say this all the time, if you do anything 24/7, you're going to get sick of it, right? Whether it's spending time with your most favorite person in the whole world, right? If I spend 24/7 with my 14-month-old baby, I'm going to go nuts, right? It's like, I got to have some kind of break. And she's my favorite thing in the whole wide world, right? Husband, same thing. Job, same thing. I love my job. I could talk about this all day, but if I talked about this 24/7, like I'd go crazy, right? And so it's like everybody needs breaks, even from the thing you love the most in the world. And it actually can be more helpful to take a break and feel reset, refreshed, miss it, energetic. I'm so excited. Let's freaking go. I can't wait. Like, and we've all experienced that in our sports. That's why we play it, right? Or coach it, whatever. And so it's like, give yourself that chance. So when you think about going from one sport to another sport, maybe you don't love it as much, but maybe the sole purpose of going and playing basketball in your baseball off season is to go have fun. Go hang out with your buddies. You're still working out, you're still getting in good shape, right? And a lot of times that's what people do in baseball, right? When you're playing at a pro level is they're not playing other sports. I actually think you can't. Their contract says you can't once you reach a pro level, but they're still lifting, right? They're still staying in good shape, but maybe they get away from the baseball field a little bit, or they give their arm a rest from throwing for a while, for like sometimes a month. But it's so good. Like get away from it, miss it, have fun doing something else, whether it's lifting, another sport, hanging out with friends. I mean, anything else, right? Stay in good shape, right? You don't want to just become a bum, right? And then have to start over every season, especially if you're taking it seriously, which is everybody knows that. But I think if you give yourself the opportunity to miss it, to miss your main sport instead of it just be 24/7, I think advantage you, right? And you have to, there's a fine line between like, okay, at what point do we start playing travel ball, right? And then it's all year long, right? But even maybe between school and travel ball, is there a couple weeks where you can take a break and like give them a little time off, right? Maybe you take a week in the summer to go on vacation and miss one tournament. And I didn't like, right? I didn't do that as a kid. I missed a prom. I missed dances. I missed a spring break. Every spring break, we were at my brother's baseball tournament anyway, so it's, I get it if sometimes that's not possible, but if it is, like, it's okay, right?
Yeah.
Especially the younger they are.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get into how old should they be before they start playing travel ball? I don't know what the answer to that is.
If
Maybe
you want to know, call me. I'll tell you off. I'll tell you off air.
perfect. Yeah, we're not going to go on here. You can't keep us on. We're not putting it in writing, but I think that's something to really consider. Like, what would be the best for our kid right now? Like, are they like, I'm so obsessed with this. This is all I want to do, right? Or is it still something fun, right? Like, and I think it all comes down to how can we keep it as fun as possible, as long as possible. And I think the way you do that is by kind of breaking it up a little bit in whatever way that looks like for you and your family and your kid, whatever's best for them. But if fun starts becoming iffy and starts going down and looks like it's not enjoyable, like that's a red flag for me. Like, okay, what can we do to make this more fun? Do we need to take some time away? Do we want them to miss? And also, you never know, maybe time away can say, I don't really know if this is what I want to do, right? So I think it's important. I think it's really important. Time away from the thing you love most, I think is important, especially when it comes to sports and elite performers.
So let's talk about elite performers. So all the best players that I ever had, season's over, right? It ended yesterday, and they want to be back in the gym tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because for only one team in the country does it end the way that you wanted it to, right? And every other athlete, it didn't end the way you wanted it to.
Yeah.
And so correct me if I'm wrong on this. Maybe I was wrong all these years of thinking this, but I never thought, and maybe I read this somewhere, but that you could reach your highest potential between season ending and next season beginning if you didn't give your brain and your body a chance to rest enough to get that drive back to reach that next level of ceiling. Because as we get older, that improvement level gets less and less and less, right? I'm really good already, but I need to take that next step to make, I shot 48% from the field this year. I want to shoot 50, right? It's a small amount. Is that rest for that high level, high school, college athlete critical to reaching that next ceiling?
Yeah. And when I think about what you just said, I think like, you're so right. There's one or two things that you need to work on. And hopefully when you get into your off season, your coach is like, here's where we need you to improve for next year. Right. If not, start asking questions. Yeah. And so once you get those one or two things, take time, get away from the sport. Don't touch a basketball for a week. It's not going to kill you. It's really not. Come on.
I made my kids take 2 weeks off.
Yeah. Beautiful.
They hated me and they cheated. I know they were getting in the gym when I wasn't watching, but at least there was an intent from us. You get 2 weeks, don't do anything.
And then I would say there should kind of be a period. So I remember one year I created these sheets when I was with a Major League Baseball team. I created sheets in the off season, right? You have roughly 3 to 4 months in the off season, and it was each month. Okay. And so we laid out our off season with intention. The first month's intention was rest. The second month's intention was a skill set. Actually, I think the month 2 and 3 were skill specific. And then month 4 was still skill specific and conditioning, right? Because we wanted to get into camp, not fucking exhausted. Sorry, not freaking exhausted.
You're good.
But we got run tests, we got beep test, we got all this stuff, and we're not showing up out of shape, but you also can't show up exhausted day one. Right. Like that was a legit fear because guys are like, this is my first time in pro ball. I got to show I've worked really hard, but then you show up and you're gassed day one. Either you're out of shape or you've worked too hard. We got 9 months of season. What are you going to do? Are you kidding? You can't rest during season and you're more prone to injury. Like we haven't even talked about that. Right.
Yeah.
So, but think about this. This is actually brilliant. The first month, the focus is rest. So that doesn't mean you don't do anything. That just means maybe the first 1 or 2 weeks, you don't do anything. Maybe you get to go on a vacation that month. Maybe you get to go visit family or friends because you sure shit didn't do that in season.
No,
right?
You didn't.
You didn't. Maybe you get to go see grandma in Florida. I don't know. Whatever you want to do, pack that into the first month of your off season or week, whatever your off season looks like. And then maybe the last 2 weeks of the rest month are I'm still resting, but it's slowly getting back into it. Like maybe I go play pickup with some friends. Maybe I go touch a ball and work on some grips and just get my arm moving a little bit, right? Maybe it's just like, but it's not like high intensity stuff. It's not stressful stuff. It's kind of goofing around, loving the game, whatever that looks like for you, right? Maybe it's working on finding who you're going to work out, finding a home gym, whatever it is, right? But it's still, the main focus is still rest. So like, we're not maxing out. Maybe we're stretching. Maybe we're doing yoga. Maybe we're working on our flexibility, stuff like that. Okay. Then you move into your 2 months of skill set. This is where the bulk of your off season is. I got to get better at this one skill. Okay. Unless that skill is like speed, it should be still relatively chill, right? It should be, I'm working on free throws, but maybe I need to like do a gasser and then do a free throw, right? Because I got to practice when I'm a little out of breath, right? It's like, this is where it comes to being intentional and being present in practice and what you're doing. And this is also your heavy weight lifting, right? Like you got to get in the gym, you got to get stronger, you got to build muscle mass for during season, because that's even harder to maintain during season. We all get that. So like, this is your time where you're working on your specific skill and you're lifting. And then obviously the last month is, okay, let's like, what does conditioning for my world look like? Right. And getting into the best shape. And I mean, you got 3 or 4 weeks that should get you in top notch shape. Cause even coaches, like when they start the season, it's usually a ramp up. They usually don't start day one. You need to be in tip top shape. So you don't even have to be in like 100%, but hopefully you're like in the 75 to 80% range, where like, it's just a perfect, easy, quote unquote, transition, instead of like, oh, I didn't do anything. So I take that for what it's worth. But like
It's
from a
worth a
mental
lot.
standpoint, from a mental standpoint, it's like you give yourself purpose and intention for every month. You never just want to wake up and be like, what am I doing today? Like it's all about your intentions. And I think if you set that, whether you have 2 weeks or 4 months, right, in your off season, I still think you can be really intentional about that time.
I love it. So that, you said this before too, that time away is critical to make you want to get back there, right? There's
Ooh,
nothing worse than if you just start the next day. Eventually you're going to be like, this is just a grind. I'm getting burned out. It's that want to get back in the gym, and then that ramp up of skill development. And as you get closer to the season, skill development that you've worked on at a slower pace, go and gain speed, so that skill development can translate to doing what I'm going to do on that floor, on that court, on that field, wherever you happen to be. You also brought up something that I want you to drill down on, and maybe you don't feel comfortable about talking about this, but the not resting can lead to injury, right? Like, is there, in your experience, what is that rest to being healthy physically? How does that impact that athlete?
No, I mean, and I'm not an athletic trainer, but I've sat in tons of meetings. High risk of injury is literally people who have a ton of stress and have poor like performance management, aka bad diet, bad rest, lots of screen time, lazy, right? Like those 2 things are like the number one attributes to increasing your risk of injury, right? Maybe you never get injured, which is fine, but like maybe you're really injury prone, right? We all know those people who just like every season, you're like, gosh, they have another injury. Sometimes it's bad luck. Like you can't fault them, but a lot of times it's like, well, are we assessing stress levels? And also, are we assessing just their foundations, their fundamentals on just like, how you doing as a human, right? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you eating appropriately? Are you, getting enough time on your feet, time off your feet? Are you stretching enough, right? All those things, but rest is a major factor of that, because rest, your body resets, everything rests, everything. Like you think about lifting, right? It breaks your muscles to get stronger, right? But they have to repair. And the only way they can repair is rest and stretching and all that stuff. So it's pretty freaking important when it comes to injury risk. I mean, freaking Google it, right? Like what's the number one causes of injury, right? And
overuse and not resting enough. Yeah. And I
like,
think if you ask most high level performers in athletics what their training regimen is, not one of them is going to talk to you about rest, because it's like a badge of honor that I
think we're getting better, but
And so being able, from your standpoint, being able to program that in as part of your development process, both sleep and breaks. How do you put that plan in place to make sure you're getting both?
I actually saw something the other day. Kat Osterman, stud pitcher, she was on a podcast and she was talking about the quote, "The grind don't stop." And she was like, "That's my least favorite quote of all time. Like, I hate it. I can't stand it because it's just instilling fallacies, right? It's
Yeah.
like, actually, the grind does stop. And if the grind doesn't stop, well, let me introduce you to my friend burnout, you know? And so, or injury, worse injury. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what's worse, a season ending injury or freaking you hate what you're doing and you burn out and you don't want to do it ever again. And so it's so important. And I think you make a good point on if you can map out anything that you're doing of like how hard you're going to work, when you're going to work, what that program's going to look like, including rest in there, then all of a sudden when you see the big picture, like you're working a lot more than you're resting, right?
Yeah.
Or that, and the balance. But if you show up every day and you're kind of like, what am I going to do today? You don't have the mindset of, I feel like I'm on a program, on a system. I've got my routines. It basically comes down to systems, and you can trust in the process because you know you have a really, really good balance of work to rest ratio versus just kind of like, oh, I don't feel like doing anything today. Well, then at the end of that day, you're going to feel like you were lazy. You didn't do anything versus I've grinded for 5 days. Day 6 is a rest day because of this. And I'm actually going to do a yoga, or I'm going to drink some electrolytes, or I'm going to go on a walk, whatever. I don't care. But like, it's intentional. And I think when rest is intentional and it serves a purpose in your head, it gets you away from the negative of, oh, I'm lazy. Oh, I should be doing more. Somebody's working out today. Yeah, maybe somebody is working out today, but maybe they didn't work out yesterday. Right. And you do have to find the balance. Like, you have to figure out what is enough, right? And like there is definitely a line, right? Where you can do the bare minimum, you can do average, or you can work your tail off, right? In a effective way.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot of times people feel like I just got to work harder. I got to work harder. And you got to be careful of that, because just because you work harder doesn't mean you're necessarily getting better. And so it's like, maybe how can you be really intentional? And I think it starts with setting up a system, a purpose of what it is you're going to be doing on a daily basis, especially in your off season.
Yeah. And I think it's way easier collegiately and in the pros, right? Because your season is structured and your coach is structured.
Totally.
The calendar is set up that way. But for parents out there or kids out there that are, freshmen, sophomore, juniors in high school that are going through this process, really being intentional. And I'm going to read the quote that you brought up in our last show. And I think it bears repeating in this. And Kobe said, it's not about the number of hours you practice. It's about the number of hours your mind is present during practice. And if you don't get the appropriate rest away, your mind isn't going to be present in the way to help you achieve what you're trying to get done.
Or if you're just like miserable, right? If you're exhausted, if you're like, God, I felt like I was at the gym all day yesterday. Now I'm back here this morning. Again, just because you're there, like that doesn't necessarily mean you're getting better. What if you actually had that perspective? What if you're like, okay, if I did this today, I think I might actually be pissed and might actually get worse. Would you go to the gym if you knew you were going to get worse?
No.
So it's like, maybe the best thing for you to do is to rest. And maybe you just leave in a day where rest is an option. And so if you wake up and you're like, I'm just not feeling it, I think I would get more out of today if I walked away and took a little rest and then come refresh and freaking grinded it out tomorrow. To me, that's worth it 100%, right? Versus, no, I just need to go show up, show face, walk around for a little bit, be a little lazy, whatever. Oh, I went to the gym today. What are you doing? Who are you trying to impress? What are we doing, right?
Yeah.
And so again, it all comes back to intentional and being purposeful in what you're doing. And rest is purposeful, grinding is purposeful. Both together is, I think, the best combination.
I love it.
Or whatever works for you, right? Which is different.
Yeah, that's right.
Some of us need more rest. Some of us can push harder. Some of us, like maybe 1 week is a push week, maybe 1 week is a rest week, right? Where it's like 80-20, then 20-80, right? Like it doesn't have to look the same, but just create whatever you want it to create and adjust accordingly. If you're like, next week I need to bring it down a notch, great. Next week I need to bring it up a notch, great. Like, it's not all black and white, it ebbs and flows too.
I think it's so important, right, for young athletes to figure it out. Like, and figuring it out, what you just said, is trying different ways to achieve it, but just knowing that you're going to be your best. If you show up rested, you're going to be able to do more than if you show up tired, and there's going to be less risk to your body in that way. So you also work a ton with corporate America, right? And to get to the top in corporate America is it's a grind too. And so talking to
Maybe
leaders,
even worse.
yeah. So talking to leaders,
Yeah.
how do I keep myself charged? How do I recharge my battery? How do I build in rest for me without the fear of not being able to move up that ladder? What is that conversation like?
Yeah. So I think this might be a hot take, but I think there is a certain time in your life where you grind hard, right?
Yeah.
Like beginning of your career, internships, graduate assistants, right? Like first year assistant volunteer coach, right? All those different roles where you're like, I have to grind to make money, to get my name out there, to make a presence for myself. And like that time, like my husband was a grad assistant, I was an intern 3 different times, right? And I had to do all these things. And the way I had to do that and the things I had to sacrifice were insane, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't do them now. And that was only 10 years ago, right? But I literally couldn't do that right now with a kid and all this stuff. So in some phases, you got to grind early. And then once it gets to a point where you've reached the goals, what you want to do, then I think it gets a little harder and you get to find balance. Sorry, we have a dog visitor. Come here. You can come in here if you need to. We have a baby visitor too.
All right.
But I think once you get to the top, then it's like, then you get the option of being able to, here you go.
Hi there.
Sorry for those just listening. Baby just joined us. And you see our nice little raspberry on our head we got yesterday?
All right. She needs more rest.
Yeah. But I think so. There's a time when you grind a ton when you're in the infancy of your career. And then I think when you get older, as you get older and more mature and more into the world you live in and work in, then I think it's like, okay, this isn't sustainable for my whole life. What do I want this to actually look like and what's important to me? And this is where it gets hard, right? Because I think some people want to work all the time. Some people, the most important thing in their life is spending time with their family. And so you kind of have to create whatever that looks like for you, which is really hard because in one way, shape, or form, you're sacrificing part of something else. And I can speak from experience. We've been trying to figure that out, right?
Yeah.
And you go from grinding it out for 11 to 12 years in my personal career to now you have a baby and you want to be the best mom you can be, but also still the best mental performance coach you can be. And it's all about finding the balance of what that looks like. And who said it? There was once an interview. I think it was a famous author or a famous show producer. And she was like, if you see me somewhere else, it usually means I'm failing somewhere else, right? Like
Right.
If you see me at work, I'm probably failing as a mom right now. If you see me at home, I'm probably missing something at work right now, and it was such an interesting perspective of the sacrifices that it takes. And so I think it's really coming back to what do you want? Why do you want it? And how can you create that? And if you can do that, that's pretty great. So
as a leader, last question here. Oh, she's adorable. As a leader, how do I keep my people charged? Right. Like, and knowing that work has to get done. And we talked about this, but keeping people fresh and excited about what they're doing is rest, break. Is that part of that? Or what's your experience as you're talking to leaders about how to keep their people charged?
Yeah, I think this is hard too, right? Because hopefully you have good employees who want to be the best they can be and they want to grind and work really hard and get better and get raises and get promotions and get better titles and all that stuff. And so with that comes like you're going to have to set some boundaries for them, right? I think it's similar to coaches, right? If you got a player who is on the verge of burning out and you see it and they don't, it's like, okay, how can I help create some sort of balance in their own life on and off the court? And I think it's the same thing. Like, how can you tell somebody, do you tell them, hey, get out of here? Hey, don't work Fridays. Hey, I noticed this, like, what's our end goal? Do you think you can still reach VP by bringing her down a notch right now? Or do you think you can't, right? It's maybe just having an open conversation, but I think it's really hard, especially for the people who are very, very, very driven and they have one end goal in mind. And they're like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to that. I think that can be really challenging. And some people may not, right? How many people do we know in corporate America who are like grinding away and like their home life is shit, they're like everything, right? And it's like, but at least they're successful. At least they're making $1 million a year, right? And some people, that's what they want, and that's okay if that's what they want. So I think it has to come back to like, what do they really want? And then helping them create whatever that life is and opportunities are. But it's tough. I think seriously, it's hard in sports, but it's tough in corporate America too, because there's always more. There's always a promotion, more money. Well, I could leave this job and go to this job and get more money and valued more and all that stuff. So it's a really interesting world, that's for sure.
I had an amazing experience when I first got to Utah. I was just I came from world that we just worked all day long every day. And I showed up to work one day in May, right? There's students aren't there. Kids are gone. I'm in the office watching film from the year before, which I wasn't even on the staff, just like doing I was there working. And my boss, Elaine Elliott, who's just a brilliant genius of a human being. She walked in and she's like, I'm leaving. It was like 10 o'clock on middle of the week. I'm leaving for the day. I'm like, what? You're leaving? She's like, yeah. What the hell do you do for fun? And I said, I work. She goes, what else do you do for fun? So my family wasn't even in Salt Lake yet. I said, I fish. She's like, get out of the office right now or I'm firing you, and go get your fly rod and go up to the Provo River and go fishing. And what that did for me during the season too, I remembered that. Like, I still remember it to this day. I wanted to come back. Right. So my leaders saw that I was working, knew that eventually they were going to need me to do more at a different time. And during that downtime, got me the hell out of there to go. And it made me more loyal to her, made me want to work harder, made me want to be there even more. So you can find those moments to work with your people and help them in that way without sacrificing the job performance. I think you're going to have even happier employees.
Well, and I think when you think about the deeper reason of like, why did that do that to you? It's because there was zero doubt in your mind in that moment that your boss was saying, I'm doubting your work ethic, or like, you don't take your job seriously or anything. Like, it was like, you could take a deep breath because the person above you is saying, get the hell out of here. Right. Versus like, is it a bad look? We're always subconsciously thinking that, and we want to make a good impression and we want to be the best we can. And so I think there's like that sigh of like, you are good enough and you're doing great, and we actually want you to get the heck out of here. That reminded me too, if you watch I'm not so sure as much in corporate America, but in sports world, and I can't remember if I've said this or not, but if you watch any coaches who have been coaching for 50 plus years, right? The old guys been around forever. It's their whole life. Like, what do they wish they could change or go back and do differently? I'm pretty sure like 10 out of 10 would have spent more time with my family.
Yes.
Right. Or I wish I would have enjoyed the ride a little bit more.
Yeah.
Enjoy the ride more is more from a player's perspective. But spending more time is the coach perspective. But I find both of those so interesting, right? Because it's like, we grind so hard because we have goals and dreams and all this stuff. And at the end of the road, it's like, what do we still have? Right. Is it family? Is it the teams? Like, you've gone through 50 teams. What do you mean? And so it's just really interesting when you think about that and the greater perspective, of course.
I don't think there's too many people on their deathbed that the last thing they think about or say is, I wished I would have worked harder. I wished I'd have worked more. It's not having those regrets. And I'm not one, I'm a grinder. I don't know any other way, but I've had to learn how to take breaks and rest.
Me too. Which is a skill set you have to learn. Maybe that's too, this isn't something that just happens or you're like, oh, I'm going to rest today. If you really want to take this seriously, it's as if you're learning a new skill. It really is. If you come from the grind, don't stop perspective. Yeah.
And I think it's important, but we're not here. Hannah and I are not here saying you can't grind, right? Like, I think we're talking, people talking to you right now are both grinders. It is that if you learn how to rest, you're going to grind better.
Yeah.
And you're going to be even better at what you do if you figure out how to take a break.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a season, right? There's a
Yep.
time and a place. Like, you can't just graduate college and then coast through whatever potential, right? Like, you got to hit the ground running sometimes. Just like you don't just go earn a spot on the team by coasting your freshman year, right? Like, there are certain moments, I think, where you have to grind a little harder. But I think there are also moments where it's like you're overdoing it to the point where it's hurting you and not helping you. And that's the distinction you have to kind of always come back to is, okay, if I go to the gym right now, is this going to help me? Or is this actually not going to help me in any way, shape, or form and potentially even hurt me? Versus like, would this rest help me more? And I mean, to me, that's the easiest question it comes down to. Is this helpful or hurtful? And then if you're going to lie to yourself, you're going to lie to yourself, right? But then if it's hurtful, then it's like, okay, this isn't the best option for me. Even when you think on paper, oh, I'm going to the gym, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get thousands of reps in, it actually might not be the best thing for you. So is it hurtful or is it helpful?
Good stuff. Well, we're going to take a rest and a break from our mental sweat Tuesday episodes here for a while. This has been so much fun, Hannah. Thank you for doing this. I'm actually, as we were talking today, we are going to do this. I'm going to send out to a bunch of people and on social media, ask me and Hannah anything. And so maybe we'll do one more on
I love it.
as people have
ask the craziest questions. Like ask, you can, the only thing I can't tell you is like one-on-one stuff, like former clients that I've worked with.
Yeah.
But I mean, those are my favorite things to do. Like ask the specific questions, ask the hard questions, ask the contradicting questions. Like, I would love that. We can go raw mental performance Q&A.
That'd be cool. All right. Well, people can find you all over the social media, right?
Yep.
And you got a website, all your social media handles, reach out. And if you're looking for some help with your mental performance based on what I know about Hannah and everything that we've done here, it's going to definitely help you. It has been very beneficial for me. And I hope for our audience. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me. I can't believe we did 18 episodes.
I know, it's awesome.
But it's so fun. And I love talking about this stuff. I tell people all the time, it's my favorite thing in the whole wide world to talk about. So I think there's a big piece in just continuing the conversations, asking the questions, keeping the dialogue open, because none of us have it all figured out. And so if we can keep talking, maybe it'll spark different ideas and you never know who's going to be impacted by it. So thanks for having me. All these episodes, I've truly enjoyed it. And thanks for having Blake on some of them too.
Yes. Hi, Blake. Yeah. Your mom's a stud. So thank you. And until next time, have a great day.
Thank you. You too.